government of Nigeria, dragged ASU, Academic Staff Union of Universities, to court to compel ASU to, call off its strike. The strike, as you know, it's over 5 months, about 6 months now, since February the 14th. And here we are. All right, so that's one. And then two, I'll talk about suicide. On Saturday, it was World Suicide Prevention Day on Saturday. I remember that we had conversation about it on the program State Affairs. I'd like you to join me again this afternoon as we have conversation around it. We will be looking at this matter of suicide, exactly. And a bit of stats that I will be giving to you in a moment, all right? I'll be giving you stats in a moment about this matter. So just hold on with us today on the program Talking Points on Splash FM here in the city of Ibadan. So before we go to suicide, let me quickly bring the matter that's really happening at this moment. And it has to do with the ASU's matter and the federal government. ASU court adjourns Nigerian government's suit against striking university lecturers. The story in a bit now. Okay, the National Industrial Court of Nigeria (NICN) on Monday adjourned the suit filed by the federal government challenging the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU). The judge, P.I. Aman, adjourned the suit until 16 September for further mention. At Monday's proceedings, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, sought to join the suit as an interested party. SERAP's lawyer, Ebun Olu Adegborua, said his client had filed a similar suit asking the court to compel the federal government to honor its 2009 agreement with the striking university lecturers. We filed a similar suit on 8 September asking the court to compel the federal government to honor an agreement it willingly entered into with ASU, Mr. Adegboru, a senior advocate of Nigeria, said Monday. He based SERAP's joinder request on the need to forestall duplicity of outcomes concerning the industrial dispute. But the federal government's lawyer, Tijani Ghazali, also a senior advocate of Nigeria, opposed Mr. Adegboru's application to consolidate the suits. He told the judge that SERAP's application was premature as the case was billed for mention on Monday. Femi Falana also reacted. He said he represents ASU. He said he was aware of efforts by the lawyers to file court papers in his suit on Monday. In his ruling on the SERAP's joinder application, the judge agreed with the federal government that the suit was not ripe for consolidation. All right, so... And the perspective here, addressing journalists shortly after Monday's proceedings, Mr. Falana said the Nigerian government often adopts dilatory tactics that have a way of prolonging strikes. What do you think? Let me quickly bring Goke into the fray before we talk about suicide. Goke, welcome.
Good afternoon, Michael. Good afternoon to all of our listeners. It's nice to be in the studio again. Well, I think when we talk about the issue of ASU, like while we were coming to the studio, I was thinking in my head, what again are we going to say about ASU? But we've always seen that the federal government, in their usual pattern, will always bring, some sort of surprise, although it's not surprising, really, when it comes to, their issue with this particular union. But we will recollect, when I want to talk about, let me start from saying that the federal government have been so inconsistent in their negotiation with ASU. And I will say this because last week, Thursday, on this particular table, we talked about the fact that federal government said they are willing to look into the recommendation of the BRICS.
The BRICS committee.
The BRICS committee. And then the following week, you are suing ASU again. Like, I don't know, there's a missing nexus for me. Okay. Because you're talking about the fact that you're setting up a 40-man committee to look into the recommendation of a committee that you actually set up yourself. And the committee met with, the necessary stakeholders. And after the meeting, they gave a recommendation. It took a while before you would even see and accept this recommendation. And then we are saying we are contemplating, looking into enacting the recommendations that you have, and then the following week you're suing them. But it's not surprising, because if you take your time to look at the basic thing that the federal government is tabling, especially as it concerns through the Ministry of Trade, is that they look at, 4 things that are very important: the cessation of strike, especially as it concerns the interpretation of Section 18 LFN 2004. They look at it that, okay, when and how can a particular union call off the strike? If you look at Section 43 of the Trade Dispute Act too, they're talking about the fact of the payments. And we know that this present administration, especially Chris Ngige, have been so vocal about it, that the federal government will definitely invoke, the no work, no pay. But you look at it too, is this something that they can just unilaterally just do? The third one that they are putting on the table, of the industrial courts, is that the issue of ASU wanting the federal government to do their own bidding through the University Transparency Accountability Solution, UTAS, as opposed to IPPIS. But of course, we are going to have the conversation of the fact that, let's not forget, that one of our minister, Professor, I've forgotten his name now, Pantami. The minister, Pantami, openly came out and said the IPPIS has really failed. If you look at some of the instances that they've had, and it's not really that, it's not really that perfect in what they want the IPPIS to do. So, of course, while we discuss that, I remember that we discussed it on the table that, okay, that's a plus for ASU, because that is one of their major arguments. But again, you are going to court again on this same clause again. And the last one is that the extent of ASU's demand since the 2020 Memorandum of Action. And let's not forget, like the SERAP are bringing their own case. Because as it is now, it's like, I think 3 parts now. ASU has their own, the federal government, and then SERAP are bringing their own too. The SERAP are saying the federal government willingly entered the contract, which is open, in 2009. Until date, ASU is saying the agreement that you've had in 2009, can you enact them? That is the issue now. And then later, let's not forget, Michael, that in 2020, like I've mentioned several times on this discussion, that there was a memorandum of action, which till today, ASU, I'm not speaking for ASU, I think it should be clear to our listeners, which till today, ASU is saying the federal government have not fulfilled the obligations of that agreement that they have. So I look at the federal government, what we are seeing now is the federal government that will set up a committee and say, okay, look at this thing. And when the committee come back again, you don't want to do the recommendation of the committee that you set up. Just last week, you talk about the fact that, okay, we really want to, look into the BRICS committee and the recommendation. And then the following week, you are suing the same association you want to have a talk with. I think it's a case of lack of coherency for me. I see lack of coherence there on the side of the federal government. I hope that, as they would always say, quote and unquote, that when there is a matter in court of law, we allow it. The industrial court, we do justice to this. But for me, I think the federal government, as through the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Education, they are not serious. They are not sincere, and they are not serious about finding a solution. Because how do you look, how do you look at the lecturers in the face for somebody? I'm just trying to, picture this now. If I have an uncle or I have a father or myself, I've been a lecturer since February, and then there'll be no pay. And then you talk about the fact that you just want to jettison that and move on. I don't know. I know ASU will not take it easy on them.
ASU will not take it easy. So when two elephants fight,
the students will suffer.
The grass suffers. And in this case, the grass is just a metaphor for the students.
Yeah.
Which is a convenient spot to say that we are crossing to the next matter, the grass. So you have young people. I remember that on Saturday when we were talking about the suicide matter, we were saying people between 15 and 19 or so are more prone to suicide across the world. And that may be one signal to the fact that these people who are involved in loggerheads or at loggerheads with each other concerning the university education in Nigeria need to sit down and ask themselves, what exactly are we profiting from this quagmire? That's a good question, right? Okay, so I'd like you to join us on Facebook. We're streaming live on Facebook. Talking Points on Splash FM 105.5. So if you're on Facebook, or you can just transmit to Facebook at this moment, and you'll find us on Facebook. Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan. That is the location on Facebook. So are you there? I'd like you to tell me your thoughts about these matters. Okay, I'd like you to stay on. We have matters, really. We have matters. But like I said a while ago, September 10, that's last Saturday, was commemorated the world over as World Suicide Prevention Day 2022. We have a theme that we've been operating since 2021. Is a theme for 3 years, 2021, 2022, and 2023. The theme is creating hope through action. All right. I have some stats here. Every 40 seconds, someone somewhere dies by suicide. Every 2 seconds, someone attempts to take their own life via suicide. 80 to 90% of suicide deaths occur in the context of mental illness, especially depression. So, of course, we know that suicide is avoidable. What can we do about this? I have a Premium Times report here. I'd like to read it and then ask, I'll go on a break and then bring my guests to the microphone and let us trash this matter out on the program today. The story has to do with mental illness in Nigeria. I think it says that about 60 million Nigerians suffering from mental illnesses. A psychiatrist here talking. President of the Association of Psychiatrists of Nigeria, APN, Taiwo Obindo, says that more than 60 million Nigerians are suffering from mental illnesses. All right, so it says here, mental health care is a sorry state given that we have more than 60 million Nigerians suffering from various mental illnesses, and the fact that only about 10% of them were able to access appropriate care. So we're left with more than 90% who are unable to access care. And this group is called the treatment gap for mental illnesses. Okay, so if you get that, you know, of course, that my guest last week on Saturday said that chief of the causes of suicide is depression, essentially mental illness, depression, and so on and so forth. He mentioned the blow and not grow. Yeah, I will come to that theory. Blow and not grow theory also. And what exactly are the issues here? And I remember telling you one of those statistics that you may not feel comfortable with, but it is our reality. It's an estimated 703,000 people a year who take their life around the world. And if you come to Nigeria, Nigeria is the 6th suicide-burdened country in the world, and it has the highest in Africa. 2016 figures we still have here: 17,710 lost their lives in 2016, and you have the data about the gender distribution and all that. 15 to 29 years old people are more prone to suicide. And what you observe is that this is the category of people who are in the universities, really. I was trying to make a connection between that matter and the ASU strike. What exactly can we do about this matter, and how can you all help? I'd like to come to that matter when we come back from this break. It's still Talking Points on Splash FM here in the city of Ibadan.
Hello, kiddies!
Yes, Mr. Samson.
The break is over and it's time to get back to school. That's right. This time, going back to school will be even more fun. With Capri-Sun, you get free pencils, erasers, sharpeners, and more in our free educate in every carton of Capri-Sun.
Get the exciting free Capri-Sun educate when you buy a carton of Capri-Sun. T's and C's apply. Capri-Sun, the taste of fun.
Wọ́n ní ìlera lọ́rọ̀, ṣùgbọ́n tí àti ní ìlera pípé bá fẹ́ pani lára, ó di dandan káwọn èèyàn kígbe ohùn rárá. Yéèpà! Tàbí nígbà tó wà nílé ìwòsàn, tán wá ní àfi dandan kó o sàsan sílẹ̀ owó gọbọyì kó o tó lè gbàwòsàn. Yéèpà! Tàbí lẹ́yìn tó o gbọ́ yìí tó yẹ kó o san, kì í ṣe pé ó lè fà ẹ́ lápò ya nìkan, àmọ́ ó lè pa ẹ́ lára. Yéèpà!
ṣùgbọ́n ajá rẹ tó lẹ́ni lẹ́yìn yóò pọ̀ bọ̀. Pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn àwọn alámòójútó ọ̀rọ̀ ìlera Avon HMO kò ní sọ̀rọ̀ wípé òun pariwo yéèpà. Torí pé níkẹyìn gbogbo wa la nílò ara wa. Kàn sí avonhealthcare.com báyìí láti ní ètò ìlera Avon kan fún ìwọ àti àwọn èèyàn rẹ. Avon HMO fún ìrónilágbára láti